Hey everyone, welcome to GameSpot's E3 2018 coverage. I'm Randy, this is Alessandro.
Hey.
We're going to talk about Metro Exodus right now. We actually got to play quite a bit of this even before E3, but we've been embargoed since then.
Yeah, we've just been hanging on to our
Hanging
impression.
on, yeah, waiting until right now to actually tell you what we think about it. I think we played like close to an hour of,
A little
of
more,
the game,
actually.
right?
Yeah. We got to really just dive into the sort of the new setting, which is a big change for the series because for the most part they've always been like within like tunnels and dilapidated subway systems, and this is the first time where we're actually for the most part of the game sticking out onto the surface, and it's quite an adjustment, to say the least.
But it's not quite an open world. So, we talked to some of the developers, and, it's not like a big open world like you'd find in, Red Dead or Zelda or something. But they are quite sort of like expansive areas, and there's a few that you move through as the game progresses, right? And that first one that we played was, like you started off in the train. Which was blockaded, and basically I think your job in that area was to try and repair that train and then move forward, right?
Well, they refer to them as sandboxes. These are basically, they're not quite open world areas where there's like different systemic things happening at once. They all sort of mingle together. You're basically going through it how you choose. We stuck with the story mission for the most part, which was to sort of confront this sort of a cult, which was sort of like held up in like this sort of church, or that was basically out in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So once we got out there, of course, things went south, and we had to shoot our way out, and that's when we got really comfortable with Metro's sort of style of shooting, which is incredibly hardcore and very difficult.
I give up. I've no choice but to rely on your mercy.
It is very hardcore, and I was going to say that despite the move to this sort of like semi-open world that isn't as linear, the difficulty in Metro is still there, and I guess difficulty is kind of a strange term to use because this was our first time with it. So personally, I found it a little bit tough just in terms of resource management, and that's always been a hallmark of the game, though. But I ran out of bullets so many times in this thing.
That sort of survival aspect has always been a part of Metro, but it's much more pronounced in this one because you're crafting on the fly. You're basically trying to find as many scraps of metal and other resources where you can, because there is that sandbox element where you can just basically explore and maybe find old train cars, and maybe they'll have something of value for you. But an interesting thing you have is that your backpack, you can basically customize your weapons on the fly in the field.
And that's a big new thing for this, right? Yeah, and it came with a pretty cool animation where you would actually, take out your backpack, roll it out, and you could see all the stuff that you could actually impact. And that was great because I did find a couple of components and managed to actually improve some weapons while I was actually running around fearing for my life at every second.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really cool when you pull it out, but also leaves you open, which is the challenge, because you have to pick your moments where you want to basically sort of examine your inventory and see what you have, but you always have to be mindful of where you are. So there are several safe zones around the map. For the most part, you're going to be away and out in the field, and you got to be really smart about how you play.
Yeah, and that's a great word to use it. I think you need to be on point while you're playing this game. It's not a game that it seems that rewards you for for wavering attention. You actually need to have a plan in your head, figure out where you want to go and how you're going to get there.
Who knew the Russian wilderness could be so dangerous in the post-apocalypse?
It's not a great place to be, I think, but I think there's a lot of potential in this game. I'm very excited about seeing more. Unfortunately, it did get pushed back a little bit.
We sort of got a sense of why it was pushed back because there were some very notable technical hiccups, like the frame rate was a little inconsistent to say the least, and load times were. It took a while, especially for me because I kept dying. So when it took a minute to load back into my checkpoint, that was a little frustrating for me, and like that made me want to try to do better. And the next time I got into the game. So
I think what we saw, already looked great, and with the extra months that they're hopefully like using to improve a lot of this stuff. I think the game seems to be in pretty good shape right now.
Yeah, it could be something really cool, and it's a big change for the series, which is always exciting.
Okay, so that's it for Metro Exodus. We have a lot more on this game on the site, so check it out. And everything else for E3, check out GameSpot.
Artyom, I heard you call me. It was so great there. But I heard you and couldn't leave you.